Now, one of the most common requests I get as a realtor is, Kelly, I want to live in a secure neighborhood. And so people love gated or guard gated communities. But there are differences between guard gated, gated, and non-gated. And there are a lot of different options to choose from. So we're going to discover all of those in the specific suburb today of Scottsdale, Arizona. So let's dive right in. Now, we're going to do the top 5 gated, not guard gated, specifically gated communities in Scottsdale, Arizona. And we're gonna start number 5. But before we do that, what are the pros and cons of living in a gated community? Well, really quick, pros are obviously the security of a gate. And the pros are typically the property values are a little bit more because people will pay a little extra to be in that community. Now on the con side, you are probably gonna have an HOA, a homeowners association, that is a little more expensive than one that's non-gated because of the maintenance cost to upkeep the gate. And the other con is, even though it is gated, many of these gates, you do have the ability to tailgate somebody else. When they punch their code in and they go in, you have the ability to tailgate that person through the gate into the community itself. So sometimes it's not as secure, keeping everyone out as possible. But let's start number 5, because at the end of the day, gated communities are coveted. People want them. I get the requests all the time as a realtor living in Scottsdale, Arizona, that some people won't even look at homes if they're not in at least a gated community. But sometimes people prefer a gated community over a guard gated community because they don't want to have to deal with the human being, the actual guard itself. They don't want to have to deal with putting your name on a list every time you have a friend come over to visit, or a play date for your kids, or anything of that nature. They don't want to have to mess with it, so they rather have the security of a gate but not the guard itself. So we're going to cover those gated communities because that's a real thing, a huge request by a lot of people. So number 5, we're going to start with Cactus Gates. That's right. Where is Cactus Gates located? Well, this is located right here in the heart of the Cactus Corridor in central Scottsdale. It is a smaller community. All the lots are at least a ½ acre or larger, so you have a lot of privacy and space behind all of these gates. Now, Cactus Gates is synonymous for desert living. In fact, the gates, actual gates of the community itself, were inspired by Bob Parks in the late 1970s, where he designed these gates to really bring out the essential and focal point of desert living. So behind these gates in the little community of Cactus Gates, you do have a lot of ocotillo, saguaros, cacti, and true desert living, albeit it's a small little area. You have a lot of the natural desert preserved throughout the lots and open spaces throughout Cactus Gates. And arguably the best thing is you have an amazing view right to the north and northeast of the McDow Mountains, just smacking you right in the face. It's pretty gorgeous. And then when it comes to housing, again, it's a smaller community. You don't have a lot of houses to choose from. You typically are gonna have about 1 to 2, maybe 3 homes on the market for sale anytime in Cactus Gates at the most. And you're looking at value somewhere in the ballpark of about $1.4 million up to about $2 million for the majority of homes behind and within Cactus Gates. Okay, now moving on to the number 4 ranked gated community in all of Scottsdale, Arizona is McDow Mountain Ranch. Okay, now before you go any further, I know, not all of McDow Mountain Ranch is gated. There are a lot of different neighborhoods within McDow Mountain Ranch, and some of the larger ones are actually gated communities. Now you do have one that is guard gated, and that is the 100 Hills, Cimarron Hills section of McDow Mountain Ranch. But outside of that, there are some non-gated and there are some gated communities. So the gated ones are pretty special. Some of these gated communities within McDow Mountain Ranch are Sonoran Fairways, Sonoran Estates, Desert Cliffs, Sierra Ridge at the top, and it goes on and on. But there are some beautiful homes behind just gates that you can find in McDow Mountain Ranch. Now, McDow Mountain Ranch is truly a family-oriented place to live. This is set on over 3,200 acres with about 900 acres for just hiking and outdoor recreation designated just for that. So the outdoor lifestyle is huge in McDow Mountain Ranch. Now, when it comes to housing, you have a vast array of different types of housing, and it's all about the views. You have housing that ranges from 1,600 square feet up to about 5,700 square feet. Now, for the 1,600 square foot home, that's going to run or cost about $600,000. Now, for that 5,700 square foot home, depends on the views, that could be as high as $4.3 million actually, so one just sold for that. Or you can get one that has about 6,000 square feet on a 2-acre hillside lot for $3.4 million. Now, why is that one cheaper? Because it's all about the views and about the interior remodel of the property, because the one for 3.4 was not fully done inside. The one for 4.3 was, and had a killer view, even though the lot was smaller than the one that was a larger home that went for less. So because McDow Mountain Ranch sits in the foothills of the McDow Mountains, there are a lot of different view types and lot dispositions within McDow Mountain Ranch. But if you're looking for an outdoor lifestyle that is second to none for families, they have a library, they have schools, they have an aquatic center, they have golf. Let me tell you about the aquatic center. That aquatic center is awesome. It's ran by the city of Scottsdale, so it's public. You can do a membership, which is extremely cheap for the summer, but they have water slides, they have a low dive, a high dive, swimming lanes, a kiddie park. They have a lazy river for a city-owned park. That is pretty special. And if you live in McDow Mountain Ranch, you're right next to it. You can walk to it in some cases. But you don't have to be a resident of McDow Mountain Ranch to have access to it. It's just more convenient because it's right there next door to you. Now coming in at number 3 is the community of Hidden Hills. That's right, guys, Hidden Hills, where is that? Well, it's hidden. It's tucked away. The name says it all. And you have 3 little communities within Hidden Hills that are all gated. So the majority of the homes are behind a gate, but there are a few little niche neighborhoods in Hidden Hills that are not. So as you go up the mountain in the foothills of the McDow Mountains on the far east side of Scottsdale, you do have a lot of homes that are spectacular with some amazing views. Now, some of the homes in Hidden Hills will have city light views, which are phenomenal, and mountain views. But at the very least, no matter what house you buy, you're going to have mountain views because you're tucked right in the foothills of the McDow Mountains. So Hidden Hills is awesome. Peace and quiet lifestyle. You can see the stars. The light pollution is very, very minimal. And it's just a very cool lifestyle tucked away that no one really talks about when it comes to a gated community within Hidden Hills. Now, up in the Hidden Hills section where you get to the very top and you have a gate and a lot of homes back up in there, you do have good hiking with Sunrise Trailhead right there at the base of the gate. So you can literally get out there, park, and you have 4.4 miles of hiking back through Sunrise Trailhead in the McDow Mountains. So it is a great place. And you also have an equestrian trail as well. So if you have horses, you want to walk or ride your horses, there's actually an equestrian trail up there with a lot of elevation for you to walk with your horse. So that is pretty cool too. A really awesome lifestyle tucked away in Hidden Hills. So let's talk about housing at Hidden Hills. On the housing side, there are some really cool houses. There's some custom homes, and a lot of the homes that were semi-custom were built by Golden Heritage, which is a phenomenal builder. A lot of the floor plans are offset and not all on 90-degree angles like most builders. So really cool floor plans and housing, quality housing built in Hidden Hills. On the low end, you're looking around 2,200 square feet for about $900,000. And that will go all the way up to about 6,500 square feet or maybe a little bit higher for about $3.2 million currently in that area. But again, a lot of it depends on your view, your lot disposition, and what you have there going for your house. So there's a huge variety there. And if you have any questions, give us a call. We'll be happy to walk you through all of that with Hidden Hills or any of these communities. And that's why those houses behind the gate come in at number 3. Okay, number 2 for the best gated communities in all of Scottsdale is Granite Mountain Ranch. Yeah, where is that one? This one is not talked about very much, but it should be. This is a diamond in the rough, it truly is. This is out in the Rio Verde corridor in the northeast section of Scottsdale. A lot of wildcat style building took place in the Rio Verde foothills where this is located. And so a lot of people just assume that most of it out there is dirt roads and just one-off homes here, there with some awkward lot boundaries, but not the case for Granite Mountain Ranch. This is a diamond in the rough that sits right in the center of all this, that is gated with its own well water, 3 wells, its own private water company that services all the homeowners in Granite Mountain Ranch, and it is an equestrian style community. So if you like horses and you want to be kind of like a bougie cowboy, this is the place for you. This is where luxury meets nature at Granite Mountain Ranch. It is awesome. You have 313 acres over Granite Mountain Ranch, 15 acres specifically for horseback riding. You have about 100 lots in the neighborhood, and most of them are between 2 and 6 acres. This side's right next to the Tonto National Forest, so you have all kinds of off-roading and trails and hiking, and if you have a Can-Am or something like that, you want to go out on a RZR, oh, it's just phenomenal. It's right at your doorstep living in Granite Mountain Ranch. This was developed in the early 2000s, and let's talk about housing. For about 4,000 square feet, that's going to run you around $2.2 million currently in Granite Mountain Ranch. Now on the flip side, that can go up from there. So looking at 5,400 square feet on a 6-acre lot for about $4.1 million currently as well. Now there are some smaller homes, and so you can get prices in there in the $1 million range. It just depends on the type of home. But getting a home in there is kind of like the lottery because they don't come on the market very often. You're looking for a specific kind of buyer, somebody who wants all the luxurious aspects of that luxury living in Scottsdale, but they want to be more removed from all the hustle and bustle. You do have paved roads. You do not have dirt roads leading to Granite Mountain Ranch. So if you have nice cars, that's no problem. They will stay clean and nice. But maybe you have horses. Maybe you have a countryside living to you as well that you also want to marry with this luxurious, clean living lifestyle also. Those two combine perfectly at Granite Mountain Ranch. Okay, now number 1 on our list for the number 1 gated community in Scottsdale is Story Rock. That's right, guys. Story Rock is phenomenal. Now it's new construction and there's not a lot of that going on in Scottsdale because it's confined by all the boundaries around it. So there's not much private land left to be able to build on. So to get new construction, especially luxury new construction in Scottsdale, is a little bit of a challenge. Story Rock delivers that to you. Most of it is gated, not all of it, but there are gated communities, little niche aspects within Story Rock. So it is very secure and it's new, like I said. Now, Story Rock is all about the views. Literally 360 views of mountain views all the way around, any which way you look. It borders the Tonto National Forest and the McDow Mountain Preserve, which is 30,000 acres of protected land that will never be built on. You have 150 miles of hiking trails. You have the iconic Tom's Thumb at the tip of the McDow Mountains that looks just like a thumb that you can see from almost anywhere in Story Rock. You also have views of the iconic Four Peaks Mountain to the east, Troon Mountain, Superstition Springs Mountain, and more. And the best thing arguably you can say about Story Rock is that only 50% of all the land dedicated to it is actually being disturbed and built upon. The rest of it is remaining the natural Sonoran Desert, so you can incorporate that desert lifestyle and look and feeling with living within it. It's pretty cool how developers are doing it. And that's just one of the many reasons why it makes number 1 on our list. Now let's talk about housing in Story Rock. Currently there are 4 builders and probably only going to be 4 builders. That's Rosewood Homes, David Weekley Homes, Taylor Morrison, and Shea. So those are 4 extremely quality builders, at least in Arizona, with great reputations, and they are building out the different sections of Story Rock. So you have everything from kind of a track home on a smaller lot with really good views to a larger semi-custom home that sits on a lot with phenomenal views. So on the housing side, currently in Story Rock, you're looking at getting about 3,000 square feet for $1.8 million, up to about 4,600 square feet on an amazing lot for $3.4 million with just fantastic views. So it just depends on what you want, because you can get in that $1.5 million range for something that maybe is not on a great lot with phenomenal views, but has some views, all the way up to something that's just spectacular and breathtaking with 360 degrees views looking out your front and back outdoor, indoor living space that a lot of these floor plans have, with the pocket doors that slide and all kinds of just phenomenal stuff that you would want living in Arizona, because you want to take advantage of the outdoor space. You would take advantage of most of the times of the year there are no bugs, so you can leave the doors wide open and just let your indoor space and living, what you're doing, flow right to the back of the house or the front patio of the house as well, and just have clean lines with no doors and just open space. It is phenomenal. So if you have any questions about Story Rock, please give us a call, or any of these other 5 communities. These are the top 5 gated communities in all of Scottsdale. Now, if you want to know of more gated communities in other suburbs or Phoenix itself, let me know. We'll do a video on that too as well. This is just Scottsdale, because we get that request a lot for gated communities, more so in Scottsdale than any other suburb across the valley. Give me a call at 480-660-5974. I would love to chat with you about any questions you have regarding this or anything else real estate related. Check us out at info@cookandassociatesaz.com if you want to email, or you can always check us out right here at our Instagram page at Kelly Cook Homes. Guys, never miss another video. Go ahead and subscribe right here, or check out one of our playlists, and we will see you on the next video. Don't forget to call me.